Thank you so much for listening to our first official episode of Her World Pow Wow. The last episode was just a little teaser. Lian and I just gave you a little description of what could come and what you can expect for the next few episodes. I'm Charmaine Yee, and we're your hosts today, and alongside my dearest, lovely co-host, who's Yi Lian. Hello, my dear.
Hi, I'm Yi Lian. I'm the editor of Her World Singapore.
And this is great. I mean, we're starting off with quite the topic here, because today we're talking about dealing with imposter syndrome and defying your own limitations, right?
We're gonna delve deep right into it, and I think we have the perfect guest today to talk about it with us.
We have this beautiful lady, and I want to make sure I say this right. She's Shireena Manchharam. Hello.
Hi, Shireena.
Thanks for having me today. I'm very excited.
Yes, and we also have here right with me her new. She just authored this box set of inspirational cards, and I'll just give away my favorite card.
Oh, so we were discussing this prior. We were saying, okay, you know what? We're gonna pick out our favorite card,
Yes.
and then she basically gave her away.
It's fine. I haven't explained why it's my favorite, but it's really cute. It's something that it comes in a box, right? And this was actually this is a stand that you could make yourself, and then you can have the cards rest on them.
Yeah, thank you for showing them like that. That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's right next to my work desk.
Me too.
every
Mine's
day.
right here too.
Oh, nice. Oh, I like that one.
I just want to introduce Shireena, and please feel free to jump in. Shireena, you are a coach.
Yep.
You are an entrepreneur. Tell us a little bit about what you do for those that are new to you.
Sure. Thank you for the introduction. So I am the founder and principal consultant at Sheen's Image Consulting, which is my coaching practice that I started about over 10 years ago. And just through that journey of learning, I was a certified coach and an image consultant. And when we talk about imposter syndrome later on, it was so much about my own confidence that I didn't have growing up. Like I couldn't even say my name in front of people.
Wow.
And now I make seminars and webinars to like hundreds of people. I don't know how, but really it's just been that journey of learning those things for myself, and then with my clients. And this year, I launched Getting to Happy, as Yi Lian said, which is this.
Yes, I love the name, by the way.
I know, it's just great. It's just a compilation of things that I always talk to my clients about, and then I just put them into 31 cards to help us just be happier. Because I realize that even when talking to my corporate clients or individuals, that unless we are happy, we can't do anything. And so
I totally agree. And one a day, isn't it?
Seriously. So one a day for a month. And if you practice it and you intentionally do it, you will see a boost in happiness and hopefully your overall well-being.
And that's great. So we really want to get to these cards, because when I saw them for the very first time, I got very, very excited. We're going to do this thing. And since you have them with you as well, for those of you that are listening to this, you can also watch us at herworld.com. We're going to be putting a video up, of course. You can see all the expressions, and you want to watch this particular part because we're going to show you which is our favorite card. So we're going to give you like a minute or so. Shireena, maybe she doesn't even need a minute, right?
I'm sure every card is your favorite.
Right? But I have one and Yi Lian has one. So on 3, let's show the camera our card, okay? 1, 2, 3.
Ooh, good ones, girls. I like those. I like those.
Gratitude.
Okay, so for those of you that can't see us, Yi Lian's was about gratitude.
No. Shireenas was gratitude.
Oh, Shireenas. Okay.
That's
so for those of you that of course can't quite see us, but you're just listening to us, Shireenas was on gratitude. Yi Lian, yours was on
Give a compliment.
Oh, that's a good one. We don't do that enough in our society.
Yes.
We definitely don't. And mine was about breaking up with your phone.
Seriously, this is one of my favorite. I mean, they're all my favorites, but like breaking up with your phone is massive.
Yeah.
Like, which is the one card that has received the most amount? Like, which is the one card that has resonated the most with people, you think?
That's a good question. It seems to be a whole bunch of them. Like for some people, like one card that about meditation, people who've always wanted to do it and never tried, when they've seen just how simple it can be and how we don't have to stand on our head for 24 hours and meditate, and that's okay. They've started it and seen a difference. But I think gratitude, the one I picked up, is it seems like the easiest to implement, the quickest to see results almost, because you're changing your mindset when you look at when you're grateful for things. And when we're grateful for things, we free up space, or we're not thinking about the negative stuff that happens to us and the challenges. So I think gratitude is my favorite card, and the one that I see people implementing the quickest.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think gratitude is like the base from where happiness is being derived from, right?
It is. I mean, you can't, like, people who say, like, you know, I told my kids, stop being miserable and be happy. I'm like, oh, that's great advice. Like, how do you do that? Like, you know, what are you doing? How do you do that? And it's these small things like giving compliments. Like, that is so huge.
I like the actionable like tips, like, you know, and even Charmaine's break up with a phone. These are all very actionable tips.
Yeah. And they're not difficult,
easy to
they're not
follow. But also, why did you? Okay, so it's interesting because I didn't pick what Charmaine picked, because I actually am quite good at not looking at my phone. As you guys would know, that's why I don't always reply to my messages.
She's really good that way, because she's then present in the moment, whereas a lot of people are like, okay, hang on, I need to reply to this message. Please hold on, I need to reply to this email.
But when I'm present, I'm really present, right?
Truth, absolutely. What I love about these cards, though, is that what you're seeing, again, we're showing this to the camera, right? Is that you've got these things, these visuals, and a short phrase at the front. At the back, though, you've taken that time as well to really talk about why it is so important, you know, why these actionables can affect your life.
Yes, that's so true, Charmaine, because I think even with something like meditation, if you talked about it like 10 years ago, everyone was like, you know, if I'm not a yogi, I don't want to do it. Or I don't even know how to do it. It sounds really unattainable. But only when the science and studies were done recently are people like, oh, okay, well, I understand how it's actually going to change my brain or my attitude or my well-being. And that's, I think, so the science behind the cards is super important. And that's the buy-in for understanding why it's going to change you.
And I think that's why people will be convinced, because people are like, it seems quite intangible. But when you say it's science-based, people are a little bit more drawn to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we also want to ask you some questions about the topic we have today.
It's a big one, talking about imposter syndrome. And, you know, here we want to have raw, authentic conversations. So have you, Shireena, ever found yourself in a place like, you know, where this comes up?
Absolutely. I think personally and with a client, and I'll share both of them. I think for me, you know, I doubted myself as a kid. I don't think I was pretty enough or did the right things or successful enough. I thought, you know, success had to be that, you know, you were a banker and you were on Wall Street and you lived in New York, and that's kind of what my friends were doing. And if I didn't do that, I wasn't successful. I think that, you know, growing up also in an Asian context where it's about your grades and how well you do. And if you don't do that well, you're not going to be successful. So there was a lot of just difficulty, and I just didn't believe in myself. I trained as an image consultant to kind of work on my appearance, behavior, and communication, which then kind of falsely boosted my sense of confidence. Because I think that when you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you do good. But it was just, you know, external bits and bobs. And then I was trained as a coach, and then kind of did the internal bits. And the internal bits are the things that kind of hold us back and make us feel not so confident. I mean, imposter syndrome means you just don't believe in yourself. And I didn't. When I learned also that nobody cares about you except for you. Nobody, you know, and how people judge you is not something you can control. So I'm going to refer back to some of the cards because it kind of relates. So when we let one thing go, you can also look at it like, I can't control how Charmaine perceives me. I can't control if Yi Lian thinks I'm successful or not. Only I can. And when you learn to let those go, then you can be more successful. You believe in yourself because only your opinion matters. So that was my journey.
That's so tough because I think, I mean, I'll put it out there that obviously the fear of other people's judgment and the way other people think of me, that's a big one. You know, and I don't think I'm alone here. I think a lot of people.
Oh yeah, everyone, I would say.
Yeah, you always worry, oh, what will so and so think of me, and we just, I don't know. Are we built to be people pleasers almost?
Well, I think that some successful people don't care. And you know, like someone for you, Charmaine, like you're, you know, public figure, people see you, people hear your voice every day. And there's so many judgments that can be just be made of, Charmaine, I didn't like what you said on the radio, or I don't like how you said it. And
Or your voice,
Yeah.
maybe even like, yeah. I mean, to what end are you going to listen to them, right?
correct. And I think it's also taking stock and saying, okay, have I done my best?
Mm.
Not have I done it perfectly, but because I don't believe in perfection. I'm super imperfect. I tell my kids all the time. But I think, have I done my best? And is my best good enough? And then we let the rest go. What someone else thinks, what your mom thinks, etc.
How do you think that, how does one recognize that he or she has imposter syndrome? How do we even make the first recognition?
Well, I think it's just basic. Like you know you're doing your best, and you just have these negative ruminating thoughts constantly. So you can't see the good because you're just seeing the bad. You're quick to point out the bad. So things like giving a compliment, your card, or letting things go. And I took out this one specifically, giving a compliment or thanking someone for something. When we receive it, we feel like, oh, I did a good job. If I say, Charmaine, you spoke amazingly on the radio yesterday. I just love what you said. You're like, oh, I did a good job. Thank you. So if we know how good it feels to receive, we should also give compliments.
Totally.
And that as a society, we're going to help boost people's ability to see good and not focus on the bad, or not feel like they're, you know, like they're impersonating someone else. They're going to get caught out.
I also think that imposter syndrome is a rather human thing to have. Like sometimes you're not always gonna feel like you have it all, or you got it together, or you deserve to be somewhere. And I think when we have those human moments and we do catch ourselves, oh, hang on, this is imposter syndrome. How is there a process, or do you have some tips you can share on how we can manage that?
So I think that when we're not mindful about what we're doing, then it's easy to just focus on the negative. So if I say to you, Charmaine, you did a great job yesterday, and you go, no, I didn't. It wasn't very good. That's the self-doubt, the self not believing in oneself. But if we're mindful, so we think, oh, Shireena just gave me a compliment. That feels good. I can accept it. I'm receptive to it, which is also cultural. Like we're not really taught to say, oh, thank you, I did such a great job, or I did so well. We're not taught to do that.
Yeah, no.
That's so great. But I think that if we teach that in children too, they'll receive compliments better. They'll take it, and that moves us away from the negative. So if we're mindful about compliments, receiving and giving, we're moving away from the negative thoughts that are holding us back. So when you catch yourself going, no, it wasn't that good. Oh, you look beautiful. Oh, no. Or you did a great job presenting. Oh, no, I didn't. You can catch yourself and say, wait, if I'm a little bit more mindful, someone said I did a good job. Let me absorb that. Let me acknowledge what my strengths are. Actually, I did do my best. I am prepared. I know my stuff, and focus on the positive.
Yeah, and really celebrating those moments. I know it's quite cultural, particularly for us here in an Asian culture, to be like, no, it could be better. Like 100% is never good enough. It had to be 110%, you know? But that's a good one to really acknowledge and celebrate the wins, right?
Yeah, celebrate the wins, and also to let go of other people's perception, which is mostly the thing that holds us back when we have imposter syndrome. It is you against you as an imposter syndrome. When we talk about imposter syndrome, but it is a lot about what does someone else think, and you know, the people around us. And I'll share a story with you about a client who's in her close to 60, fabulously successful to me. I'm like, wow, you're amazing. She's a doctor. She has a beautiful life. She has these two gorgeous sons. And her mom always told her when she was a kid that she had to become a doctor to be successful. So she went into the field. She hates medicine. She hates the practice. But she's now close to 60 and retiring, but she did it for her mother. Now you would think as a mom, you would say, darling, you did a great job. Compliment. We don't do it. If the mother said to this girl, you did a great job, maybe it would make her feel good about where she is right now. But it's the reverse. She still doesn't believe she's good. She still doesn't believe she's as qualified a doctor as she could be. And it's heartbreaking. So
it gives me the chills.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's this aircon room, or it gives me the chills that she has worked so hard. She busts her butt till 60, and her mom's, she's still waiting for mom's approval.
Yeah. And I said, you can't control what happened yesterday. You can't control what happens tomorrow. And you cannot control the perception of somebody else towards you. I said, what is success? Are you happy? She said, no, not really. And I think that's what it comes down to. And that's why I launched Getting to Happy, because I don't think it's about skill set and these fancy words about changing ourselves and reinventing. It's not. Are you happy doing what you're doing? And, you know, that relates to also this kind of wonderful woman that we all want to be, is just, you got to be happy with who you are on the inside.
Of course, absolutely. And speaking of women, we actually wanted to ask you, realized we meant to ask you this earlier. We're here, of course, talking about, you know, powwow women. You are our first powwow guest, and we're so honored to have you on as our first guest. And we want to ask you what your definition of a powwow woman is, a powerful woman who is wow in her life. And what does that look like to you?
Okay, no surprise to this, but the answer is she's a happy person.
Yeah.
Happy with herself, how she looks, how she behaves, how she treats others. And that you can tell when someone is happy. It's not success, it's not the house, it's not the kids, but it's happy with where you are and what you have. And I think that takes effort and time to learn how to do.
So if I said, don't think too much about it, who is a powwow woman to you?
My mom.
Oh.
She's always just been very grounded with what she has. She's never chasing anything else. And she's not perfect, but she's happy being who she is. And I think that also teaches me that I don't have, and I think in Singapore, we're so taught to have our ducks in a row and be perfect and get things right. And it's okay if it's wrong, and it's okay if we fail. And as long as I'm happy with that reaction, and that's what I'm trying to teach, you know, young kids or even women like ourselves, that you don't have to be perfect, but if you're happy with your choices and what you've done and how you treat others and treat yourself, it radiates, and you know a happy woman when you see one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so.
I'm curious though, Charmaine, did you have an imposter syndrome?
Well, I was just thinking, when I first started training, I had to train people in my earlier days of my career. And I thought I got the years because I present on stage, I present on camera, I present on radio. And I'm doing these training sessions to guide people to present with confidence. And I had moments where I'm like, can I do this? Am I qualified enough to have I had the years where people would think I'm legit? You know, I don't have 20, 30 years under my belt. Will they think I can charge a certain price? Can I go in there and command that respect? I think I had moments like that. And I had to have my first couple of clients tell me, you actually did good, lady, you know? Then I went, I guess like I can do it, you know? But it took me a while. And sometimes I still find myself having moments like that.
I fully agree.
Yeah, I'm also curious, like, why is it important for us to overcome imposter syndrome?
We can't be successful otherwise. We're not happy. We're fighting against ourselves. We're doubting ourselves. So, you know, if you think about it, if you're diving into a pool, I'm totally making this up as I speak, but I'm diving into a pool believing that you're going to drown, chances are you're not going to make that jump.
True.
That's quite a good analogy, really.
It is. Well done.
Take it with you. You heard it first. You're on the Powwow podcast.
Right?
The thought process happened here.
Wow, that's such a good analogy.
Yeah,
so
it is.
I think it's worth repeating, which is that if you look into a pool and you think you're gonna drown, you're not even gonna deep dive. You're not even gonna bother.
You're not. But if you let it go and say, it's not going to be perfect, but I'm going to try, and I know I'm doing my best, just belly flop in, for God's sake. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter.
I feel like we should all take this metaphor and go to a pool one day.
Oh, I can't swim. Sorry,
Three of us.
guys. I'm not diving into that pool. I can't swim.
We'll give you the floaties. We'll give her the floaties,
Okay,
and she'll be just fine.
I'm a lifeguard for reals. I will help you.
Wow.
No.
Oh,
no
yeah,
way.
you were amazing. You were a competitive swimmer in
I
school.
was, yeah. So I used to
Yes.
teach swimming, and I was a lifeguard. So I
So
didn't believe I could do any of this. You know, even like talking about imposter syndrome, I didn't believe I could do anything in school. I didn't think I was smart enough to do any sports. And then only when I took the leap to realize that nobody cares, it's all in my head, and all those self-limiting things that are holding me back, it's just in me. And then the success is huge.
yeah.
So
Ooh,
it's
I got goosebumps.
Yeah, it's crazy. But of course, I do want to mention this part of the story because Yi Lian told me that she herself as well, we've had several chats about this over coffee, that she has experienced imposter syndrome. So Yi Lian, I think this is a good time to
Okay.
put it out there. Yeah. Well, what's your experience with it?
So besides my day job as the editor of Her World, I've also been having my own business for the last 7 years where I run a floral studio.
Mm-hmm.
So and I was never formally trained as a florist. I just started playing with it. I mean, if anything, I was trained as a mass communicator. I was trained as a journalist. I went to school to study mass comm. Never took like any certification or even like a workshop with flowers. So I mean, I grew up with flowers. My extended family have been in the business for the last 4 decades. But yeah, and when it started becoming a business and people started paying me for it, I was like, are you for real? Why would you pay me for like doing your arrangements?
So you were doing all this for free?
No, I wasn't.
Okay,
But
good.
but I was very reluctant to start the business.
Okay.
Yeah, because I believe that I wasn't trained formally. I had no proper formal experience. Somebody or anybody is going to like find out that I'm a fraud.
Right.
And then that's when they're like, oh no, let's not order flowers from her because she's a fraud. So, I think growing up, I'm not sure whether it's the culture or the family upbringing. You are trained to sort of think that you could only do something if you have the education or the training in it.
Yeah, or the certification, or
Yes.
the global recognition. I mean, to some degree, that's still around, of course. We're very paper driven, right? We want to see the paper, we want to see the certificate.
Yeah.
Show me you got the accreditation.
Exactly.
And
and-
sometimes that's important too.
To a degree, absolutely.
But what I'm curious about, before I share mine, is how do you guys overcome yours? Imposter syndrome.
Shireena, you go.
So I had a situation where I was coaching a very senior banker at a local bank here, and he was, so successful, top 10 guys in the bank. And I was like, oh my God, they've hired me to go in and coach this guy. And I felt, I was so nervous. I was like, I don't deserve what they're going to pay me. I can't do this. And I was like, I can't charge so much. I just charge peanuts because I'm not good enough. And I was comparing myself to him, and he gave me a hard time. He said, what are you going to teach me? Because it wasn't that he contacted me, it was the financial institution. So I said, I know you know things that I don't know, but there are things that I know that you don't know. And
it gave me the chills.
Yeah.
I said,
Go get him, Shireena.
it was so scary. It was so scary because I had to believe in myself. And I was like, maybe you don't, and not everyone's gonna like you or want to pay for your services, etc. And that's okay. So I said, give me a chance. Give me a chance. And I know this is maybe something you don't want to do, but give me a chance to teach you something that I think I know that you don't, clearly. And, he gave me a chance. It wasn't like it was years of a relationship, but I knew that I delivered my best. I just had to deliver what I had to deliver. And then it was successful for the short time that we had together. But, we don't have to know everything, and we don't have to be perfect. I really think, Yi Lian, going back to your question, is I really believe I don't have to be perfect. I'm okay with my best effort. Doesn't sound like, I don't want you to make it, I don't want it to come across that I'm an underachiever, because I've been told from other people like, oh, so you just want to hit base mark? I'm like, no, but I don't need to get it. I'm a coach, but I'm not the best coach. Charmaine, you're a VJ, but you're not the best in everything you do. Yi Lian, you're the best editor for everything. So I think in the same way, I do my best, and this is what I'm going to give you. If you like it, you take it. And I have the confidence to believe that I'm doing my best.
That's such a great attitude to have. And to reach that point, you're so obviously comfortable with where you are and who you are, what you can deliver, what you may fall short, what you are improving on. You know what I mean? Like, you're obviously at a good place where you are.
You hit the nail on the head, but it took me years of intentional effort to be happy with who I was and what I have. So it took time.
Amazing.
Yeah, I wasn't born like this. Some people think, oh, you're a happy person, just born like that, or you're always just happy and bursting sunshine. I'm like, no. It takes effort. You know what I mean?
Totally. I mean, to come across as, no, I'm born like that, it just made people feel like, okay, I wasn't born with it, so I can't have it. And it's not true. It's something you have to work on.
It doesn't mean you're going to have bad days. It just means you have the resilience to see silver lining or still see what you have as what you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Elian, how did you get over yours with the flower business?
Oh God. I know that you said to listen to people even when they compliment you, right? So I mean, over the years, I've had customers or clients who tell me that, oh wow, I love your flowers. You know, they're amazing, they're beautiful, and I'll always be like, okay, thanks. But I mean, I won't deny the compliment, but did I really accept them? Not really. I don't think. Yeah, I didn't think that I really accepted it because I know deep down I haven't given myself that approval. And I was always still doubting myself. I was still waiting to be found out as a fraud. Until I think one day I had this crunch time. I had to come up with 6 new designs within a very short period of time. And it happened. I mean, I was supposed to come up with 1 new design, but I came up with 6.
Yeah.
And that was like 4 years into starting that business. It was a wow. And that was when I was like, oh wow, Elian, you're good.
You know, you're gonna reach the point you're like, I'm good. I'm good at this job, right?
Yeah.
I deserve to be here. Yeah, pat yourself on the back, you know, give yourself a hug. 'Cause
That's right.
sometimes people don't do it, right?
Took 4 years, but you know what matters is you get there.
Yeah, that we're all here now, right? I think it's just
That's
reminding ourselves of our self-worth, like why you deserve to be in this room, why you deserve to be on that panel, why you deserve to stand in the room amongst people who you may seem intimidated by, right? And I think this is a lot of, I just want to really get into what our second part of what we want to talk about, which is, you know, defying our own limitations. And we definitely talked about that before as well. Going beyond what we think is maybe doubtful, where you doubt yourself, right, Shireena?
Yeah. And yeah, I've been thinking about something to say as well in regards to this, that we also can't do our best, and we also can't move away from the self-doubt or limitations we put on ourselves if we're afraid to fail. And you know, you guys asked me this question before.
I am so happy you talked about the fear of failure.
Yeah, it's real. So real.
So when you said, like, you know, what do people face, or your clients, this is the biggest thing they face, no matter what their age is. Fear of failure in Singapore with my Singaporean clients is the biggest thing that holds them back. And people will tell me, like, oh, you started an image consulting business, you had a handbag business for 7 years, now you did Getting to Happy. Like, how do you do it? I'm like, because if I fail, what's the worst thing that happens? Oh, I'm not going to go to jail, which is like the worst.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose my children, which is probably even worse. But there's nothing that's going to go. I mean, if it goes wrong, I will deal. I have the resilience. I have the skills to bounce back. I'm not going to cry and crumble and fall apart. But if we're scared, and we're so scared to fail, just like this doctor client of mine, and so many, the majority of my clients just won't take the risk because they're just so scared. You know, when you talk about when you went into the room, Charmaine, and you know, gave your talk or healing with your flowers, wasn't it the fear of failure? Like, what if I make the worst flower arrangement?
Oh yeah, like
what? Nothing.
It's fear of failure for me, and the other thing, when I coach people too, the other thing is fear of looking stupid.
Yeah,
right. Is a big one, and I don't like to use that S word, but for me it's not so much fear of looking stupid, it's the fear of judgment, really, at the end of it. So it's fear of failure, fear of judgment, and there's just so much of that going around, and I think if a lot of us could get past that and beyond that, man, just imagine the horizon.
Yeah, and so someone said to me, like, how did you just like start a handbag line? I was like, I don't know, I'm not trained in anything to do with fashion or handbags. And I was like, what? And I said, I just told myself, what's the worst thing that happens?
Yeah.
And
I think we also need to redefine the meaning of failure. I think that is that will help quite a bit as well. I think the problem is a lot of us think that when you fail, that is it. Nothing's gonna happen after that. But no, I mean, that is really just a glitch in the journey. Yeah. And you can become something else or achieve something else after that. And you won't even be thinking about that so-called failure that you experienced like weeks, months, years ago.
Correct.
Yeah.
True. And it's just the fear. It's just that fear that holds people back. And if you tell yourself, it's gonna suck when I fail, it's gonna be so bad. It is. Failure sucks. But I know that it doesn't last forever. It will pass.
Mhm.
And I believe in myself to be able to get back up. That's it.
Exactly.
I think it's that comfort zone. A lot of us are very comfortable. So we're like, do we try? Do we do that business we always wanted to do?
Yeah.
It's I think this is beyond Singapore. This is a
Oh
worldwide
yeah,
issue. A
for
lot of people
sure.
are very happy where they are in their little nucleus, and they will not move out of that nucleus. And then they might reach to a later part of their life, and they're like, "But did I take risks in my life?" It's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Even the good things, like people get too hung up on, oh, I'm really happy right now. I think that's why people don't want to change, because I'm happy right now. I'm content right now. Um, I don't want things to change. But the thing is, even that moment of joy, or those moments might pass too, because that life is really going up and down, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Um, the the confluences that they pass, like they come and go, but there is always that base, that foundation that we return to, that is constant.
mm.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be. I mean, if you're successful in every stage of your life, congratulations, and I'm very, very happy for you. But I don't think that's
Very realistic.
that's everybody's life, right?
And if you're trying to live a life like that, guaranteed you're going to feel very disappointed.
I was gonna say you're gonna be unhappy, but yeah, that's right. I
Yeah.
mean, disappointed is it, right? Shireena, do you remember a time in your life? It just got me thinking, right? Do you remember a time in your life when you failed and you had to pick yourself up and really get over it, or live in that moment and really embrace that failure and then move on?
All the time. So I don't even think it's a one-time thing or a specific situation. I fail all the time in a good way, because I don't see failure as something bad.
Yeah.
If
Yep.
we look at fail like crash and burn and die, then we're never going to do anything. But if we look at failure like that's life, it's life. Like when people are like, I can't believe COVID happened. I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, you hope that it doesn't happen, but it's life. There are worse things that have happened in years or your grandparents' time or parents' time. Just ask them. This is bad, but it's not the end. It's how you see it. So
Yeah.
I definitely don't think I have one specific time, but I do think it came down to my mindset of looking at things and saying, what have I learned? Just what have I learned, and how, and do I believe in myself that I can pick myself up. It's terrible at the time when you fail, when I make mistakes, or when external factors are not in your control and you're like, I can't believe this happened to me. I was going to get this and now it's gone from my hand, or someone accused me of something, and you can't control what people say about you. But I tell myself that nothing is forever. There's always silver lining in the worst moments. And I think this comes down to my ability to, not my ability, but my journey with gratitude and seeing silver lining every single moment.
You know,
Go ahead.
you brought up something earlier about 2020 and COVID, and how no one saw this coming. And I think I wanted to talk about that, because it's a strange year. There's no question about that. And you've, I think, launched your box of cards at the best time possible. Talking about being happy. And what do you say though to people that say it's so tough to be happy in a year like this?
Totally. And I say, I'm trying to tell you in 31 ways that you're not going to have a bad day. It's not what I'm saying. But I'm definitely saying that these are small foundational things that you can do for yourself, so that when that challenge hits you in the face and you're blindsided, or when things like COVID, or you lose your job, which happens pre or post COVID, or financial problems or breakups and heartaches and all that, you have some foundation that is built by being a good person, by, thinking of other people, being kind, spending on others. Science shows that when we spend money on others versus ourselves, we're actually happier. It makes us feel better. But people think that if I just buy stuff for myself, I'm really happy. No, not true. Setting goals for yourself. I mean, these are just small foundational things that build this core resilience to deal with the tough times. Even, I've told people about reference points. Like I had a client during COVID who was like, I hate my job. I can't stand the politics now. I'm working from home and I can't interact with my team. I said, yeah, that sounds pretty rough. And I said, and he was just going on and on. I said, what's the reference point at this moment? He said, what do you mean? I said, you have this job that you hate. But what's the worst scenario? You don't have one. And he's like, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. I was like, do you want this job more than not having it? He's like, no, I need it. I put food on the table. I said, okay, then move on from it. You can't control the office politics or what someone thinks about you or your business suit or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Move on from it and give yourself the reference point. Or when someone was thinking about, the vaccine, they're like, oh, I don't know when the vaccine will come. When the vaccine comes, then I can travel. And I said, are you in the laboratory discovering the vaccine? And they're like, no.
I love your tough lessons.
I said, if you aren't, it is out of your control. Move on and clear up the brain space to think about the things that you can control.
I can just imagine you, Shireena, and your kids.
Poor kids.
Yeah.
No, but you're very loving, but you're very like you're doing it in a way where you push them as well beyond their comfort zone, but in a like super loving way.
Thank you for saying that. Yes, I do. But like all the cards, like the meditation part, the kindness, we did it as a family during.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have an idea to make these cards till and someone said to me then a few days ago, do you actually do the things on your card? I'm like, of course I do. I live and breathe them. And, it started during lockdown. I was just natural things that I made my kids do. So they wrote in this diary, Yili knows, but they wrote in this COVID diary every day, 3 things they were grateful for.
Nice.
And, my sons and my daughter it looked like we took them around the world and gave them this 5-star holiday. And we were just in our homes like everybody else. But, it was having cheese and crackers on the balcony. And my son was like, this is like France. Okay, he got to be 7 years old. But, it was good enough for him. He was happy enough with that. So if we practice that, we see just good stuff. Doesn't mean bad stuff doesn't happen. It just means we see the good. So even if it's bad, we see the good moments.
So, I mean, this is great because, it's not just grown adults like all of us here that can really benefit from these cards because, you can do this as a weekend activity, as a daily activity with your kids. So you can do it as a family, you can do it with friends. It's actually, now that I think about it, a really good Christmas gift.
Oh, yeah. We're just saying the price point is really good too.
Yeah?
$50.
It's how much again?
$50.
I can handle $50.
You can.
If you're telling me $50 is going to get me beyond happiness and beyond, I'll spend that money.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'll spend that money.
You also have future plans, Shireena, for beyond getting to happy.
Well, what you doing?
With my, I want to do getting to happy kid, getting to happy parent, getting to happy tween and teen. And just find ways that we can use it and implement it. I want it to really be a movement. So I think that's what healing means. I'm really passionate. I'm not about the number of books that I sell. It's not, it can't be that. It's not that for me at all. It's truly about spreading this happiness. And if you do it as a mother, you spread it to your kids. If you do it as a family, you spread it to the extended family. If you do it as a team member, you're going to change your team, or if you're a leader or someone in a position of power or influence, we need to do this. We will all be so much happier. Yeah, but what does that mean? We're going to care about the people around us more. We're going to work harder at the things that we do. And when I coach, when I help to, come in as a coach for companies and they're trying to help people at this time, and they say, let's give them this skill training and they'll stay if they have this. I'm like, they're not going to stay for that right now. People want to stay because they're happy in the situation that they're in. They're happy working from home, or they're going to be happy working in the office. So make that environment conducive for them. Make sure that they are happy and they will stay.
Yeah, I mean, in anything, in a relationship, in work, in any dynamic, right? As long as you're happy, I think that's what you'll stay in, right?
It's so basic. And even when my kids start school, the teachers will say, like, what's your goal for your kid this year? Like, what do you want them to learn? I'm like, oh, relax. I'm like, I want them to go to school happy and come home happy. Because if they do that, they will learn.
Agreed.
I love that.
Such a great thing. And before we of course wrap up today's session, we have one thing that we hope to inspire our powwowers, our listeners of the Pow Wow podcast.
And something we'll be asking every guest that comes onto Her World Pow Wow.
And you're the first, no pressure. What is a quote that you live by, or a quote that has inspired you recently?
That happiness is a choice and takes intention and effort. That's it.
Wow. Say that for the people in the back.
Happiness is a choice which takes intention and effort.
Love it.
Mm,
Love it. That's so good.
wonderful.
That's so good, right, Elian? That's
yeah,
so
I
good.
love it.
It's
Oh,
so basic, guys. So basic. It's
But
not
those are
complicated.
the best. Those are the best advice, right? The basic ones because it's doable.
Yeah, and it's a choice. Like you choose whether you want to be happy in a moment. You choose it.
Absolutely. When people think that happiness is an abstract concept, that's when they're like, how do I attain it? It's so unachievable. But
Yeah.
when you shift the perspective and mentality to no, is totally by choice.
It is.
Yours and yours to make.
Yeah.
It's so attainable.
It is. It is how you react to things and how you pick yourself up. And you choose every moment. Even in the worst, most difficult, challenging times, you can choose to see the light. It's your choice.
I love it.
Yeah. We
I love
finish
it.
it with
This-
goosebumps moments.
This is so many. We got $1 for every like
Goosebump
pearl
moment.
of wisdom or goosebump moment we had. We'd be rich right now.
We should have a super that comes into the video. Goosebump moment.
Yes. But thank you so much for your time, Shireena, for really sharing the joy and the happiness of these lovely cards.
Mm.
They make a great gift. And we'd love for you to see all of this, our chat, depending on where you're hearing it. Maybe you're tuning in to us or you're streaming. You can watch all our expressions. Elian and I are in this room with safely distanced in this like very calm Zen purple room.
Yeah.
And Shireena is in her gorgeous home. We're all safely distant. We wish we could do this in person, which we will do at some point.
Yes, we will.
But you can watch the video at herworld.com. Thank you.
So much for having me.
Thank you, Shireena. Thank you, Charmaine.
Thanks, guys.